Well, shalom, my name is Todd Bennett, and I'm here at the northwest corner of the old city of Jerusalem. It's a very busy location, and I'm going to take you on a little tour here, walk through the new gate into the Christian quarter, and see where that leads us. Right now you can see how busy it is here. Jaffa Gate used to be a major road for just general commerce, and then they put the railroad tracks in there, the train tracks, and so now there's no road traffic, just trains. And you can see that this person got themselves right in the middle of things, blocking both the trains, and yeah, so nice and noisy here. If I go down this way, you'll see a path that leads down to the Jaffa Gate, and we brought you to Jaffa Gate on a different walking tour. But now we're going to walk towards the east, towards East Jerusalem, just a bit, in the general direction of the Damascus Gate. If we kept going, we'd end up on the Mount of Olives. But the new gate is just inside here. So we'll go in the new gate. You'll see the Christian quarter is pretty much, it's a lot different than some of the others that are really busy with the hustle and bustle of people and everything going on, because a large part of the Christian quarter, although you could say the Jaffa Gate comes in the Christian quarter, it unless you take a left, it ends up turning into the Armenian quarter. But if you take a left inside the Jaffa Gate, you'll end up in the Christian quarter, and a lot of it is owned, a lot of the real estate's owned by Catholic Church, the Greek Orthodox Church. So there's not a lot of housing in the Christian quarter. There's some, but not a lot. And so this is the new gate. See, we just took a quick turn in. I remember the first time I came to Jerusalem, I thought, again, I've said this before, I thought you could drive, through the whole old city. And I saw, on the map that you could actually drive in. Now you see, you're not going to get too far inside the new gate, and I actually did try to drive in the new gate, and I had to turn back around and get out because I was trying to get in the Jaffa Gate to get to the Armenian quarter, but or the Christ Church Hotel, where it's the first place I was staying. Anyways, I learned pretty quickly that you really couldn't drive straight through the city, so I went around and around and did a whole bunch of detours and U-turns and such until I finally did, in fact, drive in to the Jaffa Gate and got to where I was staying. And then I quickly parked my car and didn't take it out for the rest of the trip until I had to go to the airport, because it's just, unless you're going to get outside Jerusalem, you're better off just walking or taking those trains, which usually flow pretty well. Usually there's not cars blocking the way, and they flow quite regularly. So you see the sign here, kind of get your bearings a little bit. Take a right, you get out to the Jaffa Gate. Take a left, that'll take you to the Temple Mount, the Holy Sepulcher, and the Western Wall. And so we're going to kind of get into the main area of the Christian quarter. Basar Shalom. He wants me to go into his restaurant, have some meat. But I just ate up on Jaffa Street, so I'm good. I need to walk it off a little bit here. So you can see nowhere near as busy as some of the other places that we visited. So you can also see the souvenirs are a lot different than some of the other areas. So if we went this way, we get the Church of Holy Sepulcher or the Jaffa Gate. I gotta go this way a little bit because the Christian Quarter is really not that big, so it doesn't take you much to make a turn and just you find yourself out of it. See, nice wide streets and very, very little traffic. You know, I was walking by here the other day, and I thought it was pretty interesting because I don't know if you read my newsletters, I was talking about St. George, the Dragon Slayer. I don't know, a few weeks ago, I think. And then I came across this place, and it's a whole setup with King George here. So I thought that was pretty interesting because King George is the patron saint of the United Kingdom, and he's also on the emblem of Moscow. So there's all these interesting St. George connections. He apparently was a Roman soldier and who converted to Christianity and then was tortured and killed, and they've got traditions surrounding him about slaying the dragon. So I have to do a little more research on him, and but I think it was so interesting that you know, the Queen was buried in St. George's Chapel and Windsor Castle, and what were some of the other? Oh, just the Order of the Garter is in George's chapel in England, and then Putin just gave a big speech in St. George's auditorium in this huge mansion in Russia, and so he made all these remarks about Christianity and him going after the Satan worshiper. So I found it interesting whenever I see a common thread in these things worth looking into. So you see the sign here, this has got us, we're heading in the direction of Damascus Gate, Church of the Holy Sepulcher. But wide streets, not a lot of foot traffic here. Kind of a breath of fresh air if you just want to have a quiet, peaceful walk in Jerusalem. You don't get harassed by a lot of shopkeepers and all that. So so you can see it starts to get busier. That's going to go down towards King David Street. And I'll probably end up walking back up King David Street so you can see where it leads. This is a mosque named after Saladin from the Crusader era. So that is why you see a minaret in the Christian quarter. Not a And you can see that we're starting to get down towards the Muslim quarter. And you'll see that kind of at the Church of Holy Sepulcher, you'll see a big shift from Christian to Muslim. Oh, he's not happy. So you can see I've been going downhill pretty much most of the time, and that's really a lot of the layout of the city. When you start up in, let's say, the Jaffa Gate, Mount Zion, Zion Gate area, those are higher, and then a lot of the city ends up going downhill as you go towards the Hinnom Valley. Oh, and here's one of those stations of the cross that we've seen along our treks. This is the 8th station of the Via Dolorosa. And I can't keep track of them. I'm not sure which is which, but let's see if we can find on the chart. The 8th one, they say, Yeshua consoles the women of Jerusalem. Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not over me, weep rather over yourselves and your children. Now, that's what they say happened here. And of course, I don't know how they could actually know that, especially when this spot is way over any spot that Yeshua would have walked in. But nevertheless, more tradition. But anyways, this would be an area, like I said about in Easter, which would just be jam-packed because they're all going to the different stations. Okay. Do you remember this street? Yeah. So there. This would take us smack dab into the Muslim quarter. And here, by the way, is the 7th station of the cross. And they're depicting what happened to Yeshua at this location. Of course, again, the streets were likely much different and much lower than this. So now we're going to head west towards King David Street. And you can start to see how things get much busier. Here, not as touristy. You can notice these are items that the Palestinians, the Arabs here, would buy their day-to-day life, shoes and clothes. They'd buy their chicken and meat here. And then you'll start to see things get a little more touristy the closer you get to the King David Street. You know, I was talking to a taxi driver today, and he was just saying how bad things were, you know, over the past 3 years. And he says, I'm a tour guide for a living. I got vans and I got everything else, but I got to drive taxi just to make up for all that lost revenue. And of course, you're going to find these shopkeepers are getting pretty aggressive trying to get you to come in their shop because, you know, tourism was just horrible here for the longest period of time. So. Now, if I went up here, for instance, it's a little crowded, so I figure I'll just show you a little shortcut here up to the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. This is not a way that most people ever take or know about. It's not the main entrance, but it takes you into the back door through the Ethiopian Coptic section. So maybe I'll just walk you through there so you can get a taste of that. See, there's the Church of the Holy Sepulcher in the background. It seems like it's always under construction. Okay, right here you've got the Coptic Orthodox Patriarch. On my Church of the Holy Sepulcher tour, I was kind of talking about how all the different denominations have their own little sections, and look at that, they're dating this to 325 AD, and that's really right around the time of the formation of Christianity by the Roman Empire. Down here, I take some people down here sometimes. It's Queen Helena Coptic Orthodox Church. They have an incredible example of a cistern down below. Okay, looks like they're closed here. So I'm going to take you through that shortcut into the main part of the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. And yeah, you can see all the construction going on here. This is where I think the monks and the Coptic priests live back here. And it's, oh, must be. Sometimes you come through here, then there's services going on. But these guys are usually pretty cool about cameras. You go into some places and they're like, no photo, no photo. But these guys don't usually say anything. It's pretty old here, that's for sure. Excuse me. Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
very.
Okay, so that's the secret entrance. And then if you go to the right, you go right into the Church of the Holy Sepulcher here. Walking through the Temple of Aphrodite. In case you didn't see that video on the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, we've got these columns right here that are from the Temple of Aphrodite. And so Helena just chose this site because it was a religious site and built on top of a pagan temple. So, and the last the Holy Sepulcher tour, we came down those stairs. So we'll go out here to give you a little perspective. Now you got all the souvenirs and the candles and the beads and the relics and the crosses, and they sell a lot of olive wood in these shops, the Christian shops especially, because they do the olive work in Bethlehem. So the Christians in Bethlehem will make their olive wood gifts and then they'll try to sell them here. We'll just walk around a little bit. Very touristy, obviously. So we have a lot of the palm branches around because Sukkot's over with. So these are all the remnants, or at least the Jewish Sukkot is over with, and these are all the remnants of their celebration. Those bougainvilleas, really beautiful. This is an old site of the Knights of the Malta. It's a hospital, and from what I've been told, the Knights of Malta would essentially come in and build hospitals, because who can argue, with a hospital? And they would actually be essentially spies for the Vatican. And that's how the story goes with that. Well, there's the big Ark of the Covenant. Usually you only find small little replicas. That's a pretty good size one. Huh. Okay, so now take a right. We're going back up towards the Jaffa Gate, and this is one of the main tourist paths, roads. Starts down there, generally around the Cardo, where I ended off on my Jaffa Gate tour one time, and got diverted all over into the Armenian quarter, and I ended up, got my shofar, met my friend David, 87 years old, and he looks like the day I met him 22 years ago. So I asked him what a seeker was, and he said, I eat everything I want, big breakfast in the morning, and then he says, I swim, and he says, and I like to go dancing twice a week, and his eyes lit up when he talked about dancing. So I think that was the real secret to him staying young. But anyways, not bad advice, I guess. Oh, and he says he has, I forgot. He says he has a glass of white wine in the morning and a glass of red wine at night. So I think his eyes lit up with that too. So a couple secrets from an 87-year-old guy. The shofar man. So anyways, this is nothing compared to the last week. I mean, essentially, things have really slowed down. A lot of Jews would take this path down to the wall. So you add Jews and religious Jews going to the wall to pray, and then you add a bunch of tour groups coming down here slowly shopping, and it really can congest the street up incredibly. So as you can see, I'm going back uphill now because I'm going to the Jaffa Gate.
Pero estuvo bien. Súper bien porque lo había visto muy caro. Y no estaba tan bonito.
one thing about Jerusalem, you will hear a lot of languages here. There's people that come from all over the world to this city. Okay. Yeah, again, very, very light as far as foot traffic goes. Usual.
Il y a l'étiquette sur les chauffards, mais il n'y a pas de prix.
Okay, so this is the Jaffa Gate, and if I was leaving Jerusalem, I would be, and I needed to go to Jaffa, which is on the west coast, the Mediterranean, just south of Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv is a fairly new city. Jaffa is more ancient. You probably remember that in the story of Jonah, when he went to Jaffa to get a ship, get out of town so he didn't have to deliver Yah's message. Well, we know how that turned out. So anyways, I'm glad I don't have to go to Jaffa to take a boat. It would take so long to get here, go to Tel Aviv, get a plane, 10 hours. Amazing. So that's the Jaffa Gate. And that's what it looks like from the outside. And yeah, there's the Citadel of David, and you got that minaret there under construction. That comes from the Ottoman era, when the Ottoman Turks ruled over the land for so long. And yeah, it's got a lot of tourists. Still tourist central, but not as busy as it was the last week. So anyways, that's that. We'll end it off there, and I'll try to get some more videos out while I'm still here. Got a few more days, and we'll work on getting some more videos for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps you just connect to the land a little bit more. This is our covenant land for those who are in covenant with Yahuwah, and so we should have an interest in this place. Yes, it's being defiled. Yes, it's being profaned by all the various religions of the world, but Yeshua is going to return and clean it up. So we have that hope, and that's one of the reasons why we can rejoice during this feast, this Hag of Sukkot. So this is Todd Bennett from Jerusalem. Hag Sameach and Shalom.